Jeff Marion here. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. In auto racing, there's a saying that the race is not won at the end of the first turn, but it certainly can be lost. Same goes for personal injury law. In the first few days or weeks after you've been injured, you're not necessarily going to win your case, but there are quite a few things you can do to lose it. And I'm going to tell you the top 7 mistakes that personal injury victims make in their cases. This is a series of videos dedicated to helping people navigate the personal injury system. New videos come out every Sunday, so click on the logo in the corner to subscribe. I've been fighting for people that have been injured in car crashes, by falls, and by unsafe products for over 25 years now. Okay, let's go through those top 7 mistakes that personal injury victims make. Coming in at number 7 is giving up if the insurance carrier denies the claim. It doesn't mean that you don't have a claim, and you shouldn't assume that. Even if they tell you all of these bad facts that they say mean that their insurance company wasn't liable or their insured wasn't liable for what happened to you, that doesn't necessarily mean that your case is unwinnable, and you shouldn't think that. Again, probably at this point it's a time to consult with an attorney. And not only have I been involved in cases where an insurance carrier has denied any liability and still had the case settle for a significant amount of money or get a jury verdict for a significant amount of money, almost all of my colleagues and pretty much any attorney that you talk to in this field is going to have a case that they can point to where that happened. So don't give up. At that point, it would be a good time to consult an attorney. The 6th biggest mistake is not knowing what insurance coverage is out there. That's important to know because you may not just be dealing, for example, in a car crash with the driver's policy. What if this person was driving for work? It's a company car. Well, then there may be an insurance policy that the company has. Or what if the car is owned by another person? You may be able to get their policy. The person who hit you may have umbrella coverage. Oftentimes, if you own a home, then probably your insurance agent sold you umbrella coverage that they told you covers all kinds of things other than accidents that are in the home, and that coverage can be substantial. So the insurance adjuster simply may be overworked and have too many files and not gotten around to investigating whether their insured has more insurance. There may be other parties involved, especially if there's a fall. You may have one party that the tenant has, if it's a commercial, if it's a store or something like that. There may be another policy for the landlord, the landowner. There may be even another policy and another agreement for whoever maintains the parking lot. This happens in cases in falls in the parking lot, whether it's in ice or in a crack or pothole or defect. There may be another policy there that you can reach. So make sure that you're aware of all of the coverage. And if you're not sure, again, this is a good time to contact an attorney like me to help you walk through all that and figure out what coverage is there. The next mistake people make is not hiring an expert when they need one. If you have a fall or you are injured by an unsafe product, and this is really where this comes into play, is not consulting with an engineer or some other kind of expert, that can be damaging to your case. You probably shouldn't go out on your own and hire an expert. But again, if you consult with a personal injury attorney, they will know experts in certain fields that can assist you. For example, many years ago, I had a case involving a hydraulic boom lift that had failed and caused a catastrophic injury to my client. Even before we discussed resolving the case, I contacted not only the manufacturer, but I contacted the rental company that owned this boom lift and had them preserve it. And I sent an expert out to look at it and review it and see what they could determine even before We talked about whether anybody was at fault, whether I put the case into suit, or anything along those lines. If you're dealing with an unsafe product, it's going to be very important to get experts on board as quickly as possible so that you don't lose time and you're able to prove your case. Which now dovetails into the next mistake, is not preserving evidence. Now that can happen again when we're dealing with unsafe products. If something happened, preserve the product. If there is a catastrophic seatbelt failure, or there's a crash and part of the framework of your vehicle has failed, or a tire exploded, or a home appliance exploded, or something happened, preserve it. It's very important that you preserve that evidence so that your attorney can look at it, and your attorney can hire the expert to look at it and try to reconstruct what happened. Also, if you don't preserve that particular piece of evidence, you can be guilty down the line of what's called spoliation, which means the intentional or careless destruction of evidence. And spoliation ultimately can lead to a judge telling a jury that they can look at you and take what's known as an adverse inference about what you've been saying happened. That means that they can take the fact that you carelessly threw out the product or junked the car and use that against you to find in favor of the manufacturer. So it's very important that you preserve all evidence, dovetailing with an expert. Now that isn't necessarily limited to product liability cases. You also want to take pictures of the accident scene. You want to take pictures of the damage to your car. If you fell somewhere, you want to take pictures of what it is that you fell on. Very important, and sometimes in snow and ice cases. So you want to make sure that you do that in that realm, is take pictures. And also, if you have an injury such as scarring or some severe bruising, take pictures of those as well, so that you can demonstrate how bad the injury was when you had it, because that's going to help you with pain and suffering. So preserve all of those items. If you get statements from the police or a police report, preserve that, because your attorney's going to want to go over what happened. So make sure that you preserve, and that's a very key thing. Okay, so these are the important ones. Again, if you don't remember certain mistakes in this video or things not to do, these are the things, if you get 1 or 2 or 3 takeaways, these next mistakes are the ones to remember. One of the important ones to remember is to seek medical help as soon as practically possible. The fact that you took time, or you waited a couple of days or a week to go see your doctor about your injury, will be used against you. The defense is going to hammer on that fact that you aren't as seriously hurt as you say that you are. Also, most attorneys that set up for trials are using focus groups before they go to trial. And in those focus groups, we're finding that our mock jurors are saying, well, why the heck did she wait so long to get treatment? She couldn't be that hurt. If she was hurt real bad, she'd have gone into the hospital or gone to see the doctor or gone to urgent care or whatever. And no matter what the other facts are, no matter what evidence is put out there, once they get locked in on that, that can affect your case. They may decide that your injury is not serious enough to warrant recovery. They may say, yes, well, absolutely that Joe Smith caused her injury, but her injury wasn't serious. Or they may say Joe Smith was at fault, but she wasn't hurt. So that is a key thing that jurors are going to lock in on. So make sure that you get medical help and you follow your doctor's treatment. One of the more important and more serious mistakes that personal injury litigants make is trying to negotiate with the carrier. A lot of times, and this is again where we talk about the sophistication of this area of law, Insurance carriers have a reserve, how much money they are willing to pay in your case. There are certain policy limits. There are certain authority levels that the adjuster may have. They may not offer more money until the case is sued. In many cases, it's going to be whether the case should be resolved quickly and fairly. And the question you should be asking is my insurance carrier going to handle my claim quickly and fairly? I can tell you from experience the answer is not both at the same time. They may handle your case fairly, but they aren't going to do it quickly. They'll handle it quickly for you, but you are not going to get a fair result. Again, you're dealing with somebody who's got experience, who has training in how they're going to answer your questions. They're going to anticipate. They are working from a position that you don't know what questions to ask. And we have a video for that you can go back and take a look at so you know what questions to ask. But really, this is where you should be hiring an attorney to assist you in negotiating with the carrier and ultimately negotiating with an attorney or somebody on the other side. If you are talking to an insurance adjuster, what I would tell you to do is not give up a lot of your facts. Just tell them what happened, tell the truth about your injuries, but be very reserved in what you say. Ask a lot of open questions. Ask questions like, well, why is it that what facts are there that lead you to believe that I'm at fault? What did your insured tell you about the crash? So always ask open-ended questions if you have to, but don't get into protracted negotiations. At that point, you should probably be consulting with an attorney, especially if you do have a pretty severe injury. Okay, the number one mistake that personal injury victims make is blaming themselves. Now, we've all been conditioned over the last probably 30 years that blood-sucking attorneys, ambulance chasing, fraudulent claims, frivolous lawsuits, all of this is utter nonsense. And what it's done is it's created this belief that I'm a good person. I wouldn't do that. I'm not that kind of person. But understand that somebody was careless. A driver was speeding. A driver was distracted. A company knew that their product was unsafe. They knew that what happened to you could and will happen. And they still put that product on the market anyway. A store knew that their floor was slippery or knew that they had to take care of the snow and ice outside and didn't do it. And as a result, you now are out of work. You can't do the things that you used to do. You have medical bills you're not sure how you're going to get paid. So the personal injury system is designed to compensate you for those things. And you should, in that case, use the system as it's intended and try to get the compensation that you deserve. Don't buy into this that you're a bad person because you file a lawsuit. Something happened to you. You were the victim of somebody's carelessness. If this person had committed a crime, would you not call the police? Of course you wouldn't. Same thing goes here. So at that point, if you have been injured in a crash, in a fall, or by an unsafe product, contact me at the email address below or on my Facebook page, www.facebook.com/JeffMarionLaw, or through my website, www.jeffmarionlaw.com. So we've got new videos every Sunday, and make sure that if you enjoyed this video that you click on the like button and that you also share this in your social media network. You can also subscribe by clicking on the logo off in the corner here, and we'll see you next week.